Okay, so it's been a few days since Jujutsu Kaisen Cursed Clash released, and it's pretty safe to say that the game is, a little disappointing. Nonetheless, despite how much hate the game has been having, becoming the most refundable game on Steam ever, I do feel like there are some redeeming factors to it, so today we're gonna be doing a review. We're gonna be taking a look at all the important aspects of the game, including the gameplay, the story, and multiplayer. And in the end, we're gonna be answering the question of whether the game might be worth it. Let's get into it. Okay, Cursed Clash is for the most part a standard anime arena fighting game, with some changes that differentiate it from the rest of the genre. First and foremost, basically all of the battles in the game, apart from a select few in the story mode, are 2v2. Each time you queue up for a match, you're gonna get partnered with a different player, and you're gonna be battling 2 other players, with the goal being to deplete the opponent's team gauge before they do the same to you. The team gauge is basically just how many lives each team has left, and in the beginning both teams have 4 lives, and for every member killed, the team gauge goes down by 1. As a whole, I don't hate the idea, as the 2v2 factor kinda brings more strategy into the game, as you'll often see players, for example, run away from their own fight when they're not doing so well, in order to help their teammate and try to get an easier kill. It also makes the fight a little bit more unpredictable, because you could be doing really bad in your own fight and still end up winning the game because of your teammate, or because swapping opponents with your teammate lands you in a better position. Overall, they just feel kind of more dynamic. That being said, I don't understand why they couldn't include a 1v1 game mode when there are literally fights like that in the story mode. I just don't get what compelled them to not have it as a possibility in multiplayer, because it could have been very useful due to a reason I'll explain later in the video. The second thing in which the game is different is that for the most part, your normal attacks don't actually deal damage. Instead, they build curse energy, which can then be used by curse technique, which actually do damage the enemy. Additionally, throughout the course of the game, you will gradually increase the amount of maximum curse energy you can have and deal more damage because of it. The maximum curse energy is shown off by the player's curse level, starting off at 1 and going all the way up to 3. When you finally do reach level 3, you also get something called a passive buff, which is basically like a new ability unique to the character. Sometimes it adds a new curse technique, and sometimes it's a useful passive. Now, I actually kind of like this game mechanic, it feels pretty new. It adds a cool resource management element to the battles, as there are for example attacks that build up your maximum curse energy faster than other ones. You have to decide if you either want to damage the enemy immediately, or first build up your curse level and deal more damage later, but that runs into the risk of dying, which resets your curse energy level back to 1. It just offers a different spin, and I think it makes the fights more interesting. Each character has 2 curse techniques, and unlocks a sort of ultimate curse technique at level 3. Now this is where we probably get to my favorite thing about the game, the characters. Yes, the roster is incredibly small for a game like this, hosting only 16 characters, but on the other hand, every character plays very differently. Each of them has their own gimmick, which makes their playstyle quite different from the rest. I don't want to spoil all of the characters for people that already have the game, as that's probably the most fun you'll have playing it, and I'll probably make a separate video on them anyway, but let me just say that this is probably the most different I've seen characters be in an anime arena fighter. So overall, I'm actually kind of a fan of the gameplay. I do find it pretty fun. At the start, it can definitely feel kind of rigid and slow, but that feeling does eventually go away the more you play it. I have to say that I do generally have a good time when I'm playing the game. Unfortunately, this is kind of where the positives for the game end. Okay, let's talk about the story mode, and to be honest with you, it's bad, like very bad. It covers the whole of season 1 of JJK plus the Zero movie, and it does all of that via slideshows. I don't know where this trend of dogshit story modes began, but it feels like forever ago since we had a good one in an anime fighting game. And this one rivals Storm Connection in terms of how bad it is. There are a couple of actual cutscenes here and there, but in total there's maybe a few minutes combined. If the whole story mode was made with them, then it would have been something completely different, but that's simply not the case. Additionally, most of the missions are just simple fights with some random character, with a few missions where you fight cursed spirits, and that's it. I do have to say that this game has some of the best CPUs I've seen in an arena fighter, as they are often pretty challenging to fight and not just turn your brain off battles like most games of this genre. Overall, the story mode just feels like it was sort of slapped together just so there is something resembling a story mode. It's a shame, because I remember a time when the main magnet of these games was the story mode, but I guess those days are far and away behind us. Alright, let's get into the main selling point of this game, the multiplayer. There's 2 game modes currently available, Ranked Battle and Exhibition Battle. Both of them are basically the same thing, a 2v2 battle, with Ranked Battle also having a ranking system, as you have probably guessed. Both of them unfortunately suffer from the same problem, which is the complete inability to find matches in a reasonable time. This is by far my biggest problem with the game, and the main reason why I think it sucks. Each time you queue up for a game, it takes on average like 5 minutes to find a match, which is just absolutely ridiculous. Throw in a network error every once in a while and you have the complete Cursed Clash online experience. This is a huge shame because, as I previously said, the matches themselves are pretty fun and I do enjoy playing them. But that fun is kind of taken away when it takes forever to find a match. I don't know if this is because there's a lack of players playing the game, but I kind of doubt it, as there's no way there's such a shortage of players. This is why I think it's a waste not to have a 1v1 game mode option available as well, because the time it would take to find a game would be a lot smaller. I understand that a lot of the characters are made specifically for 2v2, but it would at least be something. The way it is right now, it's basically unplayable. Thankfully, there is an option to rematch a team after you're done battling, and as far as I can tell, there's no limit on how many rematches you can have. This works great if you have two teams that are evenly matched, as you can just endlessly battle each other without having to wait for an eternity. Unfortunately though, the rematch option doesn't allow you to switch characters, so you're stuck with whomever you chose at the beginning of the match. Apart from that, I do have to say that the netcode of the game is very good. I haven't experienced a lot of lag in the games I have played, apart from some in the opening cutscenes of each match. Obviously there's gonna be some delay here and there, but I'm overall happy with how it feels. Okay, let's just quickly go over the other game modes and features this game has to offer. First of all, you have the shop, where you can buy different equipment and things like calling cards or outfits for all the characters. In free battle, you can basically set up a local lobby, either playing with your friends or the CPU. Once again, since it's very hard to find a match, you might be spending more time here than anticipated, but the strongest version of the CPU is actually pretty tough to beat, often harder than any player you might find in an online lobby. Online lobbies, as you might have guessed, allow you to play with friends online and set up custom matches with them. I haven't personally used this since I don't have any friends that are stupid enough to purchase this game like me, but I'm guessing there isn't anything other notable to say about it. Finally, there's online co-op, which is basically rush battle mode. You and another player or CPU battle waves of enemies. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I haven't played this mode much, since I thought it was only online for people who want to play with friends, but from what I understand, you can also train your character and increase their stats that way. Additionally, the equipment you bought in the store can also be utilized here to boost your character. There's also a ranking system that is supposed to ensure that you only match up with players with similar experience in this game mode. There's two modes that online co-op offers. The first is Rush Battle, which is just waves of cursed spirits and sometimes other characters. Then you also have Survival Battle, which is just waves of characters. Now, Survival Battle seems like a lot more fun. The problem is that you basically have no chance in it unless you spend a huge amount of time leveling up your character. Because in Survival Battle, all the enemies start at level 3, and their CPU level seems to be quite high as well, so don't even attempt it without leveling up a bunch. Alright, so now that we have looked at everything Cursed Clash has to offer, let's summarize and decide whether it's worth to buy it. So as I said, I do like the gameplay. It can sometimes feel a bit heavy and janky, but overall I do enjoy it. That is sort of the only positive side to this game though. The story mode sucks and there's basically no point to playing it. It sometimes feels damn near impossible to find any matches in multiplayer, and the only other game mode that feels worth your time requires a huge amount of brainless grinding. The graphics also aren't anything special, and I know this is a nitpick, but I do have to say that the starting screen looks like a game from 2014. Like, what is this? So overall, not that great. Now obviously the biggest problem with the game is the price. If this was like a $20 game, I wouldn't have that many problems with it. But as it currently stands, this game costs an insane $60. That's probably the main reason it's the most refunded game on Steam ever, because no sane person would think this is worth $60. So yeah, as it is, I definitely would not recommend buying this game. Unless you're like an enormous JJK fan and have to try it, but people like that would have already bought it anyway. If it's ever on like a big sale, which I suspect won't be too long before this, then it might be worth a consideration. Because I can't say that I don't have fun when I'm actually playing the game. Anyway, that's about everything I have to say about Jujutsu Kaisen Cursed Clash. It's a pretty big disappointment, but not that surprising in hindsight. If you enjoyed the video, then please consider liking and subscribing, and I will see you all soon. Bye!